currently there are no specific nanotechnology exclusions, save for one that one company has implemented. So under most policies, under most companies' coverage, nanotechnology losses and liabilities are covered if they otherwise meet the terms and conditions of the policy. Nanotechnology, of course, is using very, very, very small particles or engineered matter for beneficial purposes. Could be in medicine, could be on clothing, but for different types of beneficial purposes. And the concern with nanotechnology is that these particles are so small that we are unsure of how they are going to either affect the environment or how they're going to affect the body. And one concern is that nanotechnology could be the next asbestos. It may not be, but that's the concern of the insurance industry and some of the players, some of the stakeholders in the industry. The purpose of insurance is to insure against unknown risks. You know, we often have policyholders ask us, is our activity, is our business, is what we're doing covered? And if the answer is no, they may stop that activity. So insurance really enables risk-taking. It enables policyholders, companies, to manufacture and to provide services knowing that if some liability results, there's coverage. Include first-party property and business interruption, commercial general liability, directors and officers liability, errors and omissions, and others. Each of these policies is potentially impacted in some way by nanotechnology liabilities and losses. So the big question out there right now is, what impact might the pollution exclusion have on liability and losses under these types of policies? And while there's no nanotechnology case out there, coverage case, and in fact there's no nanotechnology underlying case out there, there are some examples in case law involving other matter that we can draw from in terms of sort of determining what might be the case in the future with nanotechnology. For example, there are cases out there which stand for the proposition that in the first-party property context, carbon monoxide can cause physical injury or damage. Really the trigger for coverage under a first-party property policy. Now, that's true, notwithstanding that carbon monoxide might not tangibly harm a building, but its presence in the building, some courts have found, is enough to trigger the physical injury. In the context of CGL policies, some courts have said that pollution exclusions are really meant to preclude only traditional environmental liability, like CERCLA cleanups and RCRA cleanups. But in the context of bodily injury in particular, some courts have said that the pollution exclusion ought not to apply. For example, there's a Kegi case out of Arizona where a professional golfer, oddly enough, drank bacteria-laden drinking water and was injured and brought suit. And the question for the court was coverage for that suit precluded by the pollution exclusion? And the court drew distinctions between organic material in drinking water, like bacteria, and inorganic material or inorganic pollutants, and said that in the case of an organic irritant or contaminant in the water, that's not the kind of thing that the pollution exclusion was intended to preclude.